Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing at the birthplace of the NASCAR stars. Once again, hello everyone, and welcome back to Hickory Motor Speedway and what has turned into a three-day event with $30,000 on the line for the pro late model drivers and $50,000 for the late model stock cars after Mother Nature has thrown us a curveball over the course of the last 3 days, qualifying Friday, the originally intended race day yesterday, and the makeup day where we were scheduled to go green at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time earlier this afternoon. And as you can see, we didn't even get to the point where we could resume the pro late model portion before the skies opened up. The mist returned, but we held out hope to the point in which we have the track almost ready to get the pros back out there. Eric Brennan alongside of Blake McCandless. James Pike will be joining us shortly down trackside. And Blake, I have to say, although we do not have the massive people in the grandstands here at Hickory that we did have yesterday, there was a noticeable roar from the crowd once the car covers came off the machines that have been stationary on the pit lane for over 8 hours now. These fans are ready to go, and so are we.
They are, and they're ready to see exactly what they paid their good money for to originally see last night, and now trying to get things done here. And again, just 56 laps. Again, we're resuming the race that we started yesterday, that we almost got up to the halfway point of that race. And we're just shy of being able to complete that. So you'll see the running order of which they stand in now is going to be the order in which they were running, and a red flag that has lasted well over 24 hours is soon to just about come to an end.
Now, we did get 44 laps in yesterday. Let's flash back to see how the race started after qualifying was held on Friday night. It was Spencer Davis in the Ben Kennedy Racing number 96 leading us down to green with Caden Honeycutt alongside. And those two have been tied at the hip since the word go, and the battle for the lead raged on intensely once these two got tied together with Honeycutt having the edge. The second caution of the race came when a multi-car crash happened off turn number 2 on lap number 41, taking out Caraway Speedway winner in Brandon Lopez, Isaac Kitzmiller, the Arkham Menards East points leader, and many, many more. The initial restart came just about 6 laps shy of what would have been halfway, with the teams already telling their drivers rain was in the area, and it showed in the battle for the lead. But Mason Diaz went around just as the skies opened up, slowing the field on lap 44.
And by the way, heard word from officials earlier today that Diaz will be able to resume his spot in the running order. Now, if he has to change a tire, he would have to go to the back of the field, but he will resume that spot because, again, it was the rain. There was no contact. There were a couple of drivers that were in a precarious situation there, but heard earlier from officials today that Diaz will at least be able to resume his spot in the running order before changing that tire officially. And again, you can see just the amount of water. Again, we're not going to worry about everything that's down in the pit area, but this racetrack, you can see a couple of spots, a couple of weepers, but this track crew has done an amazing job keeping this racing lane dry. And of course, they're going to allow these teams and cars that, again, have been sitting on pit road for well over 24 hours. They haven't been allowed to touch these race cars with the fact that the race was delayed. And so this is the first time they fired them up in well over a day.
All the teams have been waiting and on standby. As a matter of fact, as the caution comes back out, we even see down in the pit area Brandon Lopez, who was involved in the multi-car crash, honestly, well over 24 hours ago. That team has gone back to work on yellow flag conditions for the driver who came into the night third in championship point standings. They have been sitting on that car all night long, waiting for this chance to get repairs made to see if they can get him back out there. And it has certainly been impressive to watch. For more, let's go down trackside to James Pike.
Eric, I spoke with Brandon Lopez and his team last night, and I asked them what the extent of the damage was. They said that they had a broken rack on the left-hand side, but otherwise they thought the damage was mostly cosmetic. So now that we're back under yellow, they're going to go back to work to try and get that fixed up and get the points that might be so valuable, especially the Owners' Championship that you two talked about last night before we went to the green light. Other group that we listened at last night from my notes, talked to a bunch of folks at FloRacing. They said that Luke Baldwin was very happy with where they were in the running order. They felt like they saved enough in the second half. They had some concerns that the leaders may have burned their stuff up. So if you're Rick Ware, you think you can get to the front. They also told me if there's one other driver to watch out for, Tristan McKee in that 7 car. Could be a fun battle seeing who goes to the front, who slides back, and how we're going to get to $30,000 if we've got victory lane for the winner of this Pro Late Model feature.
Thanks, Pike. And we see the work now continuing on Brandon Lopez's car. Again, this driver at Caraway Speedway, and we shared the story. The unique look of this throwback is to Steve Levitt, who is a longtime chassis builder in the NASCAR Cup Series, but has really planted a seed in what was the roots of Fury race cars in the grassroots chassis building organization. And Steve himself was brought out to the racetrack, as were a couple of the other dignitaries that were given throwback honors on the weekend. And that team is thrashing for a chance to get back into a championship points paying contention.
And by the way, if you wondered the length of the red flag, 8:18 last night. We had the caution just prior to that. 8:18 last night was when the red flag came out. We fired the engines at 9:05 tonight. So almost 25 hours, just a little bit shy of 25 hours.
A couple of other nuggets. Pike mentioned Luke Baldwin in that 51 car, right side of your picture, currently running in 3rd position. Luke rolled off in 7th. The car just behind him, Tristan McKee, started 5th. And I'll credit Bowman Gray Stadium public address announcer Chris Carter for sharing this with us. Tristan McKee is a year older than he was when he started this race. His birthday is today, turning 15 years old for the youngest winner ever in Cars Tour competition at just over 12 years a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago now. But he is celebrating a birthday today. So we started the race at 14. He's going to end it at 15. And he's hoping to end it $30,000 richer. And both Baldwin and McKee have been showing pace.
And oh, by the way, guess what? Tristan McKee, August 3rd last year, what did Tristan McKee do on his birthday last year? He went to Victory Lane in North Wilkesboro. But big story right here, an unapproved adjustment for the 47 Dustin Bryson throwback of Caden Honeycutt. So you can see Tristan McKee will move up a position. He's up into 3rd, but your race leader, they found an unapproved adjustment that team made earlier today when they went through their checks. So race leader, Caden Honeycutt, fastest and most dominant car through the opening 44 laps, is going to be put at the tail end of the field with just a bit over the half of the race left.
Yeah, and that's the bad news. This is still a very heavily populated field of cars. 27 came down to take the green flag. We did lose a couple in the melee that happened on lap 41 yesterday. So Honeycutt, with a little more than half this race to go, has got a lot of work to do if he wants a chance to pocket not only the $30,000 in this race, but he's one of 5 drivers eligible to win both the Pro and the late model stock feature. The next one running up in the running order here would be that 7 car of the birthday boy, Tristan McKee, who's currently lined up on the bottom with Caden Quapple to his outside in the 32. And Mason Diaz, after that spin that took place, we weren't sure if he was going to have to change that tire or not. It may have to happen right off the restart. He's currently on the inside of row 3 with Casey Roderick in the orange 62 to the outside. As we welcome back our SRI and Citrus Safe drone, it's so happy to have this back up in the air, especially now that the skies have cleared to get back going here shortly.
And again, I think doubling the field up right now, the lights are still on the HendrickCars.com pace car, so I'd imagine just a couple more laps to kind of just get this field running too wide, make sure that everything is okay. Again, you can see a little bit of moisture on the very outside retaining wall. We hope they're not going to be racing out there anyway. But as far as the racing groove here at Hickory, again, we heard so many drivers talking about what a challenge this was in qualifying, when on Friday we had practice all throughout the day. Some moisture came in, some rain came in, washed all the rubber off of the racetrack, totally changed the handling characteristics of this racetrack. And when you talk to many of these drivers and crews, the one thing they say is every single time they come to Hickory, it seems to be a track that always is evolving, is always changes, never seems to be the same from week to week. Just in the span of 3 days, we've had entirely different conditions. So we see some discussions going on here with security and the officials here, and some teams as we continue to roll along here. We still stay too wide. Didn't get the one to go signal yet.
That's the Bryson Lopez team, which we just saw race leader Caden Honeycutt get pushed to the back due to what was deemed unapproved adjustments. We believe that took place earlier on this afternoon. The garage opened at 11 a.m., so the race teams arrived about 10 hours ago to the track for a race that was scheduled to start at 1:30. Around 1 o'clock, the drivers and teams were offered up a chance to take the covers off the car, do a couple of things that were permitted by officials, per the direction to the race teams. And evidently that 47 car may have been caught doing something that was outside of those parameters, thus the reason for getting relegated to the back. And again, to add insult to injury, that same organization keeps trying to thrash to get Brandon Lopez back out there to keep him in championship contention, and you see that work continuing there. And if you would have seen this car about a day ago, the damage to the left and right side of that machine, we would have thought they were done for sure, but they have not given up in the slightest.
Well, and one thing that they had the benefit of is being able to have that downtime. Again, they couldn't touch this race car in the interim, but they've had roughly a day or so. I'm sure they came in with a game plan today of exactly, they got to evaluate the damage, but they couldn't touch the race car. And boy, our friend Brendan Willard doing a tremendous job right there, showing the signal that all of these race fans here at the racetrack and out on FloRacing have been waiting to see for well over a day. One to go. Spencer Davis and Luke Baldwin at the front of the field. Let's get the Throwback Classic presented by FloRacing back underway.
The most dedicated race fans in the country come to their feet in prime time on a Sunday. Let's settle the Throwback Classic for the pros. We're back underway.
And immediately the battle is on up front for $30,000. Again, it was Luke Baldwin and Tristan McKee a day ago that were some of the best cars and tried to work their way through traffic. But all of a sudden, Caden Quapple again got to move up a couple of spots. Also, Mason Diaz resumed his spot in line after his spin yesterday in turn 3 due to the rain. He's back in contention as well.
That's Diaz in the black car, fifth in line, is now McKee in the white 7 alongside of Luke Baldwin in the Rick Ware Racing number 51. Rick is here tonight, even in what was a cup race at Iowa earlier on in the afternoon, cheering on the organization to see if they can get their 3rd win of the season, and Luke's 2nd as the battle continues behind him with the points leader Ben Mayer in the 6th, looking low on Casey Roderick.
How about that championship battle that's going on between that 6 of Ben Mayer, right behind him, the 32 of Keelan Harvick. This is the 32 of Caden Quapple, though, in that battle for 4th that's going on. Diaz, again, he had kind of been falling back. He had been struggling. But I think with a couple of these changes and the fact we have a brand new racetrack here, going to help some teams more than others. And right now, Diaz fending much better than he was as we neared the halfway point of this race yesterday.
Diaz is going to take the spot away from Caden Quapple. Here comes the Alan Kowicki painted up.
Oh, trouble in turn 1. Flat tire, I believe that's for Nick Loen as they went down into turn number 1. And again, just shy of the halfway point, the caution flag comes out.
1 lap shy of the iRacing halfway award that would have gone to our pole sitter Spencer Davis after Nick Loen, who had a transponder issue on the pace laps of the initial start of this race yesterday. They were able to get a new one on there. He reassumed his starting position, which was 11th, and was running up towards and in the top 10. In fact, he was 10th at the time of this problem, and it appears as though that right front tire did come undone, and he's done some damage to the right side of that race car. Team is going to work on that car. His father, Andy, a multi-time track champion here at Hickory Motor Speedway. Nick, a former winner on the tour as well. Let's see what happened again. Bottom portion of the top 10. Contact with Keelan Harvick, and that's what cuts that right front tire down at the end of the front stretch.
This is the look going down into turn number 1. You can see the contact there. Great catch by our camera crew to catch that as Nick Loen was rolling along on the front straightaway. Again, we don't often see that type of incident, that it's the car on the inside that ends up having that issue, but just hits perfectly on the bodywork. It cuts that right front down. For more, let's toss it down trackside to James Pike.
Yeah, just listening to Nick Loen get on the radio. His take was pretty clear on that incident with Keelan. He said, I was already underneath him, and he just chopped me down at the last second. So Loen felt like Harvick got into him. In the meantime, the crew working on the right front, trying to pull away the fender to make sure there's no worry about a tire rub when they send Loen back out track. But they've already got the wheel and the tire replaced, and if they can get their fender cleared, he'll be ready to go.
Thanks, Pike. Nick is a 3-time Carolina Pro Late Model winner here, making his 7th Cars Tour Pro Late Model start at Hickory Motor Speedway. His best finish came in April 2024, started 5th and finished 3rd, and he was running 10th at the time. And the rest of the field did a great job trying to slice their way through as we check in on Caden Honeycutt, who after having to restart in the back, has worked his way up into 16th. That was at the time of the caution, so at the very least, he'll gain a spot on Loen, and he picks the outside on the choose. The car just in front of him, that number 17 of Dawson Sutton. I caught up with Dawson today at the beginning of the event. He faded all the way to the back yesterday. They said the same mechanical problem under the hood that plagued him at the end of practice ruled an ugly head again yesterday. They got an opportunity to work on it, started at the tail end of the field, and we'll see if that car has a lot more pace that they would expect for that Rackley War Racing team here tonight.
Interesting decision up front. You can see Tristan McKee taking that outside lane. He wants a shot at the front row, so Luke Baldwin lining up in third, Mason Diaz joining along. We saw that outside row was really strong to start the night on a green racetrack yesterday. Let's see if the case is the same tonight.
Into the iRacing restart zone, 1 lap shy of halfway, and McKee gets a great launch to the outside of Spencer Davis as they hop, skip, and jump their way through 1 and 2, and McKee is alongside of Davis for the lead in 3.
McKee was talking with us earlier today during the rain delay about how he felt that the track conditions like this might actually help him. Even if it is a little bit wet out there, he has rain racing experience in a Trans Am car. He got a great restart. He falls in line just before Luke Baldwin can try to make a battle for second, but is hounding the back end of that number 96 car. Now, finally, at halfway, this race would be official for now.
Spencer Davis picks up the iRacing halfway bonus. Behind him, the battle for fourth as Harvick may have brushed the wall there to the outside. Behind Ben Mayer, top 2 in the championship. The 2 cars in the outside lane. Ben Mayer in the 6. Harvick in the 32 tonight with TJ DeCare in the 54, trying to get them both.
How many times did we see yesterday? And once again, so many cars, about 2 or 3 right there, nearly brushing the wall. It was a big struggle for many of these cars qualifying on Friday night on a green racetrack. It was so tight out of turn 2. And a lot of these drivers struggling with that as here comes Luke Baldwin. He and Tristan McKee coming to blows in 3 and 4. And you can see fighting very aggressively for that bottom lane in 3 and 4 right now.
Caden Quapple in the 32 behind him watching on as these 2 touch doors again. You can see a bit of a donut just in front of the left rear tire on the side of the 7. He's also got 1 on the passenger side door of that 7 car as McKee. Baldwin to 2nd. McKee back to 3rd. Caden Quapple.
Oh!
Look out!
What a save!
It's going to cost him 2nd and maybe 3rd. Now Baldwin falls to 4th spot after the bump and run by McKee to get back to the runner-up position.
And you can see Luke Baldwin, he's got bright gloves behind the wheel, that number 51 car, counter steering for all it was worth. What a tremendous job he did collecting that race car. But he better hope that Baldwin doesn't get back to him, because I think he'll remember that.
Those 2 appear to be in lockstep formation, working their way up into the positions that they were in, 2nd and 3rd at the time. And a 2023 Pro Late Model champion in a Bobby Allison Daytona 500 winning throwback in that 32, Caden Quapple took advantage and holds the final spot on the podium for right now.
It's been such a great run for Caden Quapple here at Hickory Motor Speedway. We talked yesterday about him winning his first ever late model stock car start. He beat Landon Lewis, a really strong race car in the Jack Ingram Memorial here just a couple of weeks ago, and is one of our drivers that could be competing for 80 grand when all is said and done tonight if he can find a way to cook out victory lane. But right now, Luke Baldwin just a bit too strong. We've seen this Rick Ware racing car and how much speed they've brought, regardless of who's been behind the wheel. In fact, they're leading the Owners' Championship right now in the Pro Late Models because they've had so many different drivers behind the wheel. They've had multiple winners, and Baldwin getting back to 3rd, and I'm sure, again, Tristan McKee's trying to get out of town right now.
And Luke must have the bit between his teeth trying to catch McKee as we see Mason Diaz in the very unique number 10 behind Caden Quapple. Diaz, ironically, after the spin yesterday, a little bit of damage to the right front of that race car. Doesn't appear to be pushed in on the right front tire, but definitely a bit of a dent and blemish just in where the right front headlight would be, with Diaz hounding Quapple for 4th. And Casey Roderick, 3-time Southern Super Series champion, stalking the backside of Diaz in the orange and black number 62.
At this point in the race, we were seeing these drivers running 15.5s, 15.6s yesterday. The pace has picked up pretty significantly, so these drivers have had to adjust despite what their cars may be doing. A little tussle here back in the field that involved Ben Mayer and Nick Loen, who's trying to get his way back up. Also an update on Caden Honeycutt. Look at him, he's back up to 9th. He's done a tremendous job trying to get back into the top 10 and salvage this night. As Tristan McKee, you can see there, Davis had extended the advantage to about half, or a little over half a second, and that's basically where it sits right now. 7/10 separating P1 and P2 right now.
Check back in on Caden Honeycutt, who's trying to work his way up through the running order, and he's doing a great job at that. Up to 9th, underneath TJ DeCare for what would be a battle for 8th position. Here's Honeycutt back to the inside. He's only got 34 laps to go to try to get back up there. We'll see how far up towards the field he can go. And as for Dawson Sutton, it appears they've solved the mechanical gremlin on that car. That Darrell Waltrip throwback is charging up through the field as well. He's in the top 10.
Say the same for Katie Hettinger, right, just running right behind Dawson Sutton, trying to get up into the top 10. Again, been a little bit of downtime for Katie Hettinger these last couple of months or so, being out of the race car, but back with it here at Hickory Motor Speedway. And remember what happened earlier with these two, Sevenham and McKee, Luke Baldwin in the 51, and I think he may remember what happened. Let's see what happens here down in 1 where they made contact earlier. Yeah, you can see the rear bumper. Tristan McKee's car bent in a little bit. He's struggling. He's scraping the wall right now.
And they've lost about 2/10 to Davis, who opens up the lead to about a second. 30 laps to go. Davis in some lap traffic, as now Baldwin gives a nudge to McKee off turn 2 to get back to the bottom side for 2nd spot.
I think McKee struggling was going to be smart there. Oh, man, you can see, just look how high Baldwin got. You can see him struggling as he was trying to gain grip in that car. The outside line, again, we see the moisture that is on the outside retaining wall. There's still some weepers on the racetrack, so you move a little bit out of that second lane. You can see how slick it is. Baldwin had to hang on, and now sets its sights on Spencer Davis, 1.3 seconds ahead, but Davis, along with many of our front runners, you can see right here, having to deal with some lap traffic.
And as they go around the outside of Brandon Lopez, who again was 3rd in points to start the night and is trying to continue running to make up ground. With a quick look at where the championship leaders are running. Ben Mayer back in 13th, Keelan Harvick 17th. The points are going to have a big shakeup tonight, but everyone's got their eye on the prize, and it's going to be about 25 laps away from seeing who gets $30,000 with Spencer Davis, the race leader.
And last time by, both your top 2 and clean racetrack, they were matching each other in terms of lap times, but a lot of close battling going on here. How about Casey Roderick, somebody that has kind of been lingering outside of the top 5, finally cracks up into it here. Oh man, Honeycutt got high there off of turn 2. He's carving his way through the field.